The cloud. All right. This is where I'm gonna stand and talk. All right, wait, we have a couple minutes, guys, sit down and we'll get started. We'll get started. Hey, everybody, welcome to Houston Beekeepers Association. I'm Joe Powers, I'm the current president. It's Mike Simmons. He's our vice president. Back at the table, Becca Spurlock, our treasurer. So if you need to pay dues, she's there to collect them, or you can do it online. And then Christy Coles is our secretary. So got a great group here. Let's see, I'm hitting the end of my 3 years this year, so we need a new president for next year.
Me too.
And Mike's hitting the end of his, new vice president. So if you're trying to be a master beekeeper, it's a good way to get one of those credits. In fact, you get 3 of those credits out of this because it's 3-year terms, which is great. Tonight I'll get to the presentation in a second, but a couple of announcements. August 30th, the Master Beekeeper sort of club or group or whatever the state calls it is doing a webinar about beekeeping that'll help you learn how to be a master beekeeper, I believe is what the topic is. And then November 15th-ish is the next Texas Beekeeper Association all-day seminar where you can go and get 8 hours worth of learning in one day, which is great for about approximately $100. It's a great deal.
Yeah, that was actually the business meeting.
Yeah, the business,
But
it's a business meeting, but it's also
they
classes.
turned it into a class.
Yeah, it's all classes too.
Do you
And
know
so-
the location?
Huh?
Do you know the location?
Yes, it's in the skip and I already forgot.
Oh,
where's the
I'll find
location?
out then.
You might remember where it's at? It's in Austin. So that's great because the hotels there are cheap, only $450 a night. Sort of thing.
Well, and then
That's
the
great.
drinking.
And it's cheap to eat there. It's $15 for a beer. So,
Waited on this.
you have a great time. Anyway, okay, so we happen to have, just by chance, a visitor today that just dropped in, who's Casey Stackhouse. He's the North American Regional Sales Manager for basically Vito Pharma, but that's basically Apovar. So I'm gonna give Casey, who wants to come up here, a couple of minutes to tell us about their products. And then we'll get to our speaker, which is Mike, who's gonna tell us about refining wax that you get, all that leftover wax from your hive. Casey, let me give you,
Oh, I don't need that.
yeah, you do, because it's on Zoom
Oh,
and we're
sorry.
recording.
All right.
So Dan, stand in this area right here, because that's what my camera.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Casey Stackhouse. I'm a native Houstonian. I live in Austin. Was raised in Cypress, Texas, northwest of here. I was recently hired by Vito Pharma about 3 months ago. And full disclosure, I've got that much beekeeping experience, but I've got 20 years of experience in pharmaceutical sales on the human side. So one of my coworkers who happens to live in Colorado said this would be a great opportunity for me. And so here I am, went through training right off the board in France, came back 2 weeks, and I've been home maybe 9 days. Been to several different beekeeping associations. I attended the TBA in Allen about 2 months ago. I had a booth there. That was my first show. And then I've attended small meetings throughout the state of Texas. I cover all of Canada, upper Northwest, upper Northeast, and the whole state of Texas. So with that, our products are Apovar, Varroa Easy Checks. That is our products as well. And then we have a new product coming out, mainly designed for commercial beekeepers called Amaflex. It's a flash treatment. First week, we're seeing anywhere between 60 to 70% knockdown. And then you wait a week, bi-week, for football players out there. And then the third week, we're seeing anywhere between 80 to 90% knockdown on the following week. And it comes in a paste. It's going to be in an injectable gun, but it's mainly designed for the commercial setting for those guys to get in and out of their hives rather quickly. So I'll take questions, but I prefer you email them to me and I'll be more than glad to hand you my cards afterwards. I don't want to take up any of these gentlemen's time. So thank you for being generous with your time, but be happy to have discussions afterwards.
Great. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Now on to mine.
Also next month on September 14th. Well, let me double check. Yeah, September 14th, next month. Was it Brazos Valley? Is it Brazos Valley? Yeah, Brazos Valley Beekeeper School in Bryan, Texas. They'll have their school. It's $80 an individual, $135 a couple. I've heard it's really good. I haven't actually been to it, but I've heard a lot of feedback that one's really, really good too. So for $85 or $80, you can get 8 hours of bee school. And I know some of the guys that do that class, some of the classes there, and I know they're pretty good. So I'm gonna do this kind of backwards how I actually planned it, because I want to pour some candles and I want to give them time to actually cool. So we're gonna pour candles and we'll talk about honey processing, and then we'll talk about products of the hive. So for candle pouring, which all you need is a vessel like this. This one's actually made for candles. I got it off, I think, Amazon or one of the bee supply places. If you're just gonna do 1 or 2 candles, what works really well is a frothing pitcher. They use at the espresso places. You can get like a 32-ounce one on Amazon, and they're like $10 or whatever. They last forever because they're stainless. You can clean them with Beekeeper's Friend when you burn the bejesus out of them, like when you burn the underside with wax. You need a scale. So pretty much anything you're gonna do with wax, or anything with wax, you're gonna do it by weight. You're not gonna do it by volume or anything else. So you need a good scale. This is the Amazon Basics one. I do not recommend this one. So I just bought this one because it was easy. No, it won't turn on when it's sitting up. One thing about this, it only goes down to 0.1 ounces. So some of the stuff you'll use, like the scent stuff, you want, like, for a strong scented candle, I use 0.4 ounces in a 5-ounce candle. So to get accurate 0.4 ounces, you really need a scale that does, what is that, hundredths of an ounce. So if you buy a scale, I'd recommend getting one that does hundredths of an ounce. They're really not that expensive. I got one that does like thousandths of an ounce. I pay like $30 for it on Amazon. You need some hot gloves. So beeswax melts around 160 degrees. So that's the temperature at which it burns skin. 160 degrees, like in an industrial setting, OSHA requires that all 160-degree vessels be coated with insulation, so you can't touch them. So, and then the worst part about wax is if you get it on your skin, you're not going to wipe it off real quick. So it's good to have some safety precautions. So all you do is put wax in there. I got like two pounds in here. So right now I'm using a 50-50 soy and beeswax blend in here. There's really 2 kind of beeswax candles. So some people like to burn straight beeswax. There's some research that shows that it has like negative ions and it cleans the air and all this other stuff. Where I'm at, the customers I deal with, they don't like beeswax, straight beeswax candles. Beeswax candles smoke a lot, so they look like they're putting off crap. Beeswax is a very poor scent carrier. That's like the worst type of wax you can get for a scented candle. Later on, if y'all want to come up here, I got this is a pure beeswax candle I did with essential oils. It's all natural, organic and everything. It does not smell very good, especially when you're burning it, you can barely smell it at all. So what I found, and I do this mainly for my customers because it sells better, is I use a 50-50 soy wax, beeswax blend. So it carries the scent better. And then I don't use essential oils. I get fragrance oils from, I think this place called Brambleberry. That's a pretty cool website. If you want to get on there, they have a lot of calculators you can use and instructions and tutorials. They do a bunch of YouTube videos, and they do it for a bunch of other stuff besides just candles. So they have candles and lip balm tutorials and lye soap and all the other stuff. And you need something to pour your candles into. I like to use these jars, the little hex jars. You can get them off Amazon, they're pretty cheap. You can do them in any kind of glass jar. Mason jars work pretty well, like the real small ones, like with the jelly jars. The other important thing is your wick sizing. So I got like 10 different kinds of wicks because I keep getting ones that aren't sized correctly. So when you light a candle, the whole top of it should be melted after it's been burning for a while. And if not, you'll end up like where it just burns in the center and it burns down and it won't ever melt the sides. You don't want that. And you don't want too much wick because then the outside will get really hot. So sizing your wicks is important. And really the only way to do that is experimentation.
I was hoping you had a phone.
There's some guidelines online, you can Google it, but it's really hard. And then you start getting into other kind of wicks. So like these are just your regular cotton wick. This one has a wood wick in it. It's just a stick of wood. These are I don't know, maybe I only tried this one brand of wicks. They suck. But,
A lot of smoke, right?
yeah, and then you can get them in different lengths and they come in different sizes. So,
Is there a place to tell you which size wick compared to this diameter?
yeah, there's some guidelines online you can find like that, but they're guidelines. So you really have to do it a couple times, burn a few candles.
Nothing set in stone.
Yeah, and it sucks when you like, because the first time I did it, I was trying to sell them, so I made like 40 candles.
Oh,
And I had like 2 customers that bought them and then returned them right away.
Ah,
Called their friends, so they called me and they're like, "These suck." Great. So I ended up with 40 candles and I just had to melt back down.
we know.
And then when you get like the wicks and stuff, there's all these little gizmos that come with it to help make it easier to do your candles. Most of these are pre-waxed with paraffin, so they'll stand up on their own pretty much. Most of the time for these candles, all I like to do is I like to have the ones that come with these little stickers. You want out. You just stick it to the bottom of the wick. And if I can get my fingernail to cooperate. And you just stick them into try to get it centered up. And make sure it's kind of straight. And then you're supposed to use one of these little clip thingamabobbers.
you put the wick in first, but you had good wax, it's gonna be pretty molten when you put the wick in after. So,
Yeah, you put the wick in first. And then pour the wax in. And the clip's supposed to hold the wick straight. So once you pour the wax in, that paraffin wax on the outside is gonna melt. So then sometimes it'll get wonky. The other thing I like to do, because I'm only making a few different candles at this time. So I get my wax a little hotter, so I don't run it at 160, I'll run it at like 190. And then I'll put the scent directly in here. I mean, the optimal way to do it would be to melt your wax, put the scent oil in, mix it up real good, make sure you have even distribution and then pour it. But since I don't want to make, I probably got 2.5 pounds in there, so that'll make like a dozen candles. So I don't want a dozen candles on one scent.
Do you worry about the flash point of the oils? Because if it right around 180, 190, a lot of these will flash.
They don't really flash. You'll start getting
Big
smoke.
oil.
Yeah, you'll start seeing smoke first. If you get too smoke, turn it off. The best thing to do is have a thermometer and keep track of the temperature. And the other thing you can do too is to be safer is to use an electric hot plate. So don't use a gas powered appliance like your stove. Beeswax is very flammable, especially once it's hot.
So no smoking either.
I mean, it's not that flammable. It's not like gasoline or anything. And you can get these scents in all kinds of crazy, like Brambleberry carries like a couple hundred different scents. This one is Kentucky bourbon. And they have the regular kind of scents you're used to, like lavender and whatever. And then there's one of the cool things about like Brambleberry is they have the calculator, so you can get on there and put how many ounces your candle's gonna be. And then it'll tell you what how much scent oil to put it in for a lightly scented, a medium scented, and a strong. And then it'll give you the absolute maximum you want to put in there. Because there's nothing organic about this. It's just a straight chemical. So you don't want to put too much in it and be unhealthy. So I like to do mine at the strong scented. So I usually fill it up to.
So you have a drop, or does the drop equate to a size?
Well, I mean, so this is a strong scented candle for a 5-ounce candle. You see how much liquid I put in there.
Oh,
So you'll be there a while with a drop.
will that evaporate with the wax?
What's that?
Will that evaporate with the wax or wax with the
Well,
oil?
so when I pour the wax in, it's all oil based, so it's gonna mix it in with it. That's why I said it would be better to mix it in the vessel first and then pour it. But I don't want,
All have the same flavor.
I don't want all 4 of them to be, well, actually, I got enough wax in here for like 12 candles. So I don't want 12 Kentucky bourbon candles. And then I usually make a mess doing this. Oh, so that's a good thing to bring up too, is your work area. So I have a separate stainless steel table I use for nothing but when I do wax work. Cause you're just gonna make a mess. I don't care how careful you are, you're gonna get it everywhere. And it's a pain to get up. I bought some plastic scrapers off of Amazon. They're like $5 for like 10 of them. And then I scrape that table once in a while to get all the junk off of it. And then you pretty much just pour them. Oop. And then the other good thing about using a soy blend is it doesn't shrink as much. So beeswax shrinks quite a bit. I got a little bit on the outside, so. Like this candle here is straight beeswax. Oh, you hear that? It's not even in contact with the outside anymore. And a lot of times what you'll end up with is, you'll get cracks in the middle of it. It looks bad. I mean, it's fine. It'll burn fine if you're just doing it for yourself or your friends or whatever. But if you're trying to sell them or something, it looks bad. Customers don't want to buy stuff with cracks in it. Then the way to get rid of that is to heat them up in an oven to about, 150 degrees until it melts back down, and then slowly cool it off. And then it won't crack. It's a pain. So that one's Kentucky bourbon. Now we'll try to do another one without the little flip thing in the bottom. And you can use other stuff too, like these little popsicle sticks. I've seen people where they get a pair of snips and then snip half of it and then they tuck the wick into it.
Do you have this wax diluted or is it 100% beeswax that you've got melted there?
So this is half soy wax,
What is it?
organic soy wax made out of soybeans, and then half of my own beeswax from my house. Sometimes these wicks will stay upright when you pour them, or sometimes they fall out like that. Yeah, they actually don't sell very many candles. They don't do well for some reason.
How long does it take for that jar to cool?
Wow.
Yeah.
Like probably. Oh, we're gonna find out. I never actually timed it, but yeah, it might take most of the rest of the time.
Put them in colder water and stuff like that, to cool them down faster, or the last way.
Yeah, you could. I wouldn't be worried about. I wouldn't put it in cold water. You could put it in like a little mini fridge or something. I'd be more worried about the wax cracking and looking bad, like cooling it off that quick.
Are you putting a certain weight in there? Is that what you're measuring?
Yeah, so I'm putting 0.4 ounces, which is a strong scented 5-ounce candle. So these jars, that size jar is about a 5-ounce candle, and these are about 3 ounces. So I put about, I think it's 0.26 ounces in here, but mine won't do 0.26 only, but if I do 2 in a little bit. That's for a strong scented candle. If you don't want a strong scented candle,
What else is going too much?
it's not good for you. So this, I mean, this is a chemical. They make this in a lab. It's not, they're not extracting leather scent out of leather. So I wouldn't want to breathe a bunch of that in my house. See. Yeah, you see the wick fill over. A lot of times I don't pour them that hot. It'll stay upright. Next question. I was gonna do these other two, but I think I'm not,
Yeah,
since I don't have enough clips.
I think we did the idea.
And then there's other kind of wax nails you can do. I can do one of them too. Usually for like the ones that people, when customers want, like straight beeswax candles, a lot of times you'll do the ones that you put on like a thing, like a plate to burn. So you can get all kinds of different molds, like these are the little skep molds, so this one does 3 at a time. And I use this wick for these. And then you just, you can't really see it, there's a tiny hole for the top of each one. And you put it through and then you tie it around a popsicle stick at the top, and then you pour your wax. And then you can get a little, I guess you can't really see this. I actually have one of these, I should have brought it. Turn it inside out. You see this one has a honeycomb pattern, has little bees on it. The silicone molds work really well for beeswax because they hold the heat pretty well. So it cools slower, so you get less cracking. And when you're shopping for molds, you may see some molds like this. I don't even know what this is, some kind of plastic. So this one, like it actually works okay, but I bought like 10 of these because I had a whole bunch of wax I wanted to turn into bars. And if you pour this too hot, it will warp the plastic. The silicone version of it, like I poured like probably 200 some degree wax in here and it's fine. So I would recommend the silicone molds. I would not recommend you buy them from any of the bee supply places, like Man Lake or anything. They want like $40 a mold. You can get them on Amazon for like 10, 15 bucks. I've got a bunch of them from Amazon. I haven't had any issues with them. So.
Tell us how you got your wax from the hive into that condition.
Okay, yeah, so that's the next one I'm gonna talk about, is wax process. So this is my cappings wax from this year.
Whoa, crispy.
Yeah, so this is what was this, like 10 supers or something? I mean, we did like 10 or 15 supers, something like that. And so you don't get a lot of wax out from just your cappings. And this looks really bad. It looks, you don't want your wax to be this color. So this has only been processed once. So I took all my wax cappings and I put them in a crock pot, and I put a little bit of water in there, like maybe 3 or 4 cups of water in there to help dilute some of the honey and stuff that's still stuck in the wax. And then I melted it, and then I filtered it. It's only been filtered once, so you can see all the junk at the bottom of it when it cooled off. So when I filtered it, I just use these. You can get 5-gallon paint strainer from Lowe's or Home Depot. Or it's cheaper if you get them on Amazon. And if you look for, it's called Brew in a Bag. These are for brewing beer. I think they're made out of nylon, so they're good for like 280 degrees or something. And you can get them in different sizes. So these are actually not, these are like 2.5 gallon or something. So they don't go all the way to the bottom. So I melt all that wax in there, and then I pour it through here once. So that's all the junk. Actually, I'll take that back. So when I melt it all in the crock pot, and then I take just a strainer, like a kitchen strainer. It's pretty, pretty thick and or pretty not a fine strainer, and just get out all the cocoons and all that crap. You're gonna throw away a lot of wax. There's no way to get it out of there. So if you have cocoons or whatever, you're just gonna have to throw that away. The other thing that works really well is a solar melter. So you can pretty much do everything instead. Unless you build your own, you're gonna end up paying a lot for them. And the ones from like Man Lake are made out of wood. They don't last that long. We had 5 or 6 years ago.
Expensive.
Yeah, and they're like $300. So I have one that a welder friend made for me that I've had for like 10 years, and it works great. But
Yeah, I kind of wanted to use like a cooler and put like one of those aluminum sheets you use for putting turkeys in there.
yeah, I've seen it. There's a bunch of different people. If you Google online, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. You can see this is from last year, but this has been filtered twice. So like you can see where I scraped out a bunch of junk that was stuck to it. So when it cools off and has a bunch of junk, I'll take what's that thing? A razor scraper, and scrape off all the crap on the bottom. And then, so this one right here needs to be filtered one more time. So what I'll do is I'll melt it one more time with a little bit of water, and then I'll pour it through cheesecloth, like 10 layers of cheesecloth. And that usually gets it pretty clean. And then, so there's still a little bit of junk in here, even after all that filtering. What I do is when I get down to the bottom, most of the junk will stay at the bottom, as long as you don't stir it up. So when I get down to the last, ½ inch, it's in my forward part, that goes to my other tub that I use to roll wax on the bee frames. So the bees don't seem to mind a little bit of junk in it. I guess this is probably like 6 or 7 pounds, it's not very much. And you can sell it other ways too, or give it away or whatever. So I make a lot of the little bars, like I was telling you. These are 1 ounce bars. I sell them for like $1 a piece. Had people, if I sold them to woodworkers that make like, wood finish board, or they, cutting boards, they use it to make a finish for, a paste for cutting boards. I sold it to a guy, a couple different people, a couple different times for leveling pool tables. So when you put the slate together and the little crack in between the two pieces of slate, they recommend using beeswax instead of paraffin wax. So I've had people come find me and buy it for that. I've had people that do cosmetic products buy it from me. I had a lady bought like 60 pounds once. When I used to do removal, so I used to have like 60 or 70 pounds every year. And you'll just get random people buy it for lip balm. They want to make their own lip balm instead of buying yours or whatever. There's a lot of different products you can make out of beeswax. I guess we start talking about that. So some of the other stuff I make is, like I do a couple different soaps. These don't really sell most of the year, except around Christmas time, I sell a ton of them. So this one's a lye soap. So I made it with lye, like it takes 6 weeks to cure. It's a pain, but it's cool soap. It's like grandma soap, so it's something cool you can advertise. And then, depending on the ingredients you use, you can pretty much, you can't call it all organic because I don't think they make organic lye. But, you can use a lot of organic stuff in there or whatever. A lot of people like that kind of natural ingredients. If you want to make some easier soap, you can use a glycerin-based soap. So this is like the glycerin, I buy glycerin soap. So you can get it clear. You can get all kinds of other stuff into it, and then you can add your own like honey or whatever into it. So this is that same soap. I just melted it, added honey and some scent to it. I buy honey flavor oil and honey fragrance oil from a place in California called Nature's Flavor. And it's all organic.
How do you wrap them?
Hmm?
How do you wrap them?
Oh, so I have a sealer. You can get them on Amazon for like 20 bucks too. It's just a metal sealer, and you buy the little shrink bags. Yeah, and you put it in the bag and you seal it with that sealer, and you heat shrink it with a heat gun.
We made some in school, and the moisture you used to just go into the soap.
Yeah, so
That looks pretty good.
yeah, you can see this has kind of been sitting on the shelf for a while. So you can see it's kind of bubbled up on the back, so that the glycerin sweats out of it in the humidity here.
Yeah.
So especially if it gets warm. One way to prevent that is to shrink wrap it. The only thing I found when I shrink wrap it doesn't smell good because nobody can smell it. And you can do cool stuff like I melted it's got I took a loofah, cut it up. And so it's got a built-in loofah into the soap bar, so you rub it on, it exfoliates at the same time, all that fun stuff. Like this one has cornmeal in it as a skin exfoliant, I guess. I make a beeswax lotion. Hand lotion, it's an oil-based lotion, so it doesn't take much. But you can put, like I do these with essential oils. And you can do different scents and stuff. I don't know if you ever used, was that corn huskers lotion? It's kind of that kind of really simple.
So is beeswax in that?
Yeah, so there's beeswax in here. Most of the products you'll make with this, you won't use much beeswax. So I make like 50 of these at a time, and it takes like 4 or 5 ounces of beeswax, I think, to make 50 of them.
What else do you put in there?
This one's, the main base it's olive oil is the main base, and then coconut oil, beeswax, shea butter, vitamin E oil. Anytime you make anything with an oil, you need to put a vitamin E into it or some other kind of antioxidant to keep it from it from oxidizing, because then it starts stinking. Yeah, it takes a while, like a year or so, but
What's that? Do you heat it up to make it? So what you do? Heat it
yeah,
up?
you just put all those in a thing like that, heat it up. You want to turn the heat off and then add your scents. All the scents are out of volatile oil, so they'll evaporate real fast. And then you pour it. Forgot my glasses. This one has orange and rosemary essential oil and some other one I can't read because I'm getting old. So and you can do lip balm. I saw like 100 or so of these a year, maybe 200. I don't know a lot. You can get a tray like, you can get a whole kit off Amazon for like $20. It'll make 50 at a time. And then you just buy the little tubes. You put all your ingredients into a pot like that and pour it on here, let it cool off till it's pretty much solid. You scrape the top off, pull it off, put the lids on, put a label on it, shrink wrap them, and so. And I can make like 50 of these in like less than an hour. And then I saw them for like $2 or $3 a piece. And they're real popular.
How do you sell?
Huh? Now I have 2 stores that carry my products, so there's a couple different ways you can do that. I have one store that does consignment, so they take 20% of all the sales. Then I have another store where I rent a shelf, and then it's a co-op, so I rent a shelf and I just do whatever I want with it, price it however I want. They both have their, like the consignment shop and kind of her bursary, like she doesn't want to carry products, she just tell me, take it, I don't want that. The other store, I have full control, so I can do all the signage and all that.
So these are set up now with the color changing?
Yeah, starting to. And I do like 2 different kinds of lip balms. I do 3. I don't have the other one. Yeah, there's one. No way. Anyway, that's the regular lip balm. So I put honey flavor oil in it. It actually tastes really good. And then this one's a tinted lip balm, so I put organic beetroot powder in it. And then I have another one that's can't tell the lighting in there. I have another one that's a more of a red color, and it's a organic mashrata root or something like that from India. It's a relative of coffee bean plant. So you can do different stuff like that. You can get real creative. So those are kind of the main things you'll do with wax. The other big product you can get out of beehives is pollen. I don't do this. This is a big, huge pain in the butt too, though. So you have to harvest it pretty much every day. You have to keep an eye on your hives. You can't over harvest it. Otherwise your hives will starve to death. They need to have pollen to live. So you really can only harvest at certain times of the year. Good news, if you want to do pollen, we make a ton of pollen in Texas. So you can get quite a bit from a single hive. All you have to do is buy a pollen trap. There's a bunch of different ones out there. I've used the plastic ones. They work fine. Not very durable, but they work fine. You can get those for like $20. Or you get the fancy wood one. It has a drawer underneath it. They're like $80, but they probably last forever. And then with pollen, if you harvest it, there's 2 ways you can. So this is dried pollen. So after you harvest it, you have to put it in a dehydrator, dry it out. You can use one of the cheap dehydrators. You get off like the little circle ones, or you get a fancy one, whatever. You can dehydrate it and then it won't go bad. The other way is you can freeze it and sell fresh pollen. There's actually I've had quite a few people ask me for fresh pollen, but it's too much pain for me to do, especially because I don't keep bees at my house. They're in remote locations, so I'm not doing it every day. And then if you don't harvest it after like a day or 2, it molts.
A day or 2,
Yeah,
that's tragic.
pretty much have to do, especially here with the humidity, you have to do it every day.
Where do you buy it?
Huh?
Where do you buy it from?
People like to use it as a dietary supplement. It's got a bunch of protein in it. It's got a bunch of, like, if you're if you're trying to microdose your allergens. The other thing you can do is propolis. So I just started doing that this year. You can see a little bit, tiny bit I got. It doesn't actually take much to make stuff with it though. So the main thing with this one is a tincture. So you mix it with not rubbing alcohol, ethanol alcohol, Everclear,
Everclear.
and then strain it, and then you put it in a little bottle. People use it. I've had a lot of people swear it works great for like sore throats and stuff. It tastes.
Well, you can then put it in something else where it tastes better.
Yeah, you can probably, well,
Honey.
I don't know the legality on that if you start adding other stuff to it.
Well, elderberries, it'll fix it.
Where do you get the proper stuff?
Propolis.
Yeah, so this little bit, tiny bit I got from scraping some really propolis hive stuff. The other way to get it is with a propolis trap. So you buy them from a bee supply store. The ones I got are blue. I think they come in a different couple colors. They're like not really a plastic, more like a rubber. And it looks like a queen excluder kind of. You put it on top of the hive underneath the lid. You let it sit there until it gets all propolized up. Like you'll know when it's ready to be harvested. You take it off, and then you have to freeze it. So you freeze it solid, and then you put it in a large, like garbage bag, and you flex it, and all the propolis breaks off of it. And you can get a lot of propolis pretty quick, so that's why I started doing it. Like, I had a few traps, and I might as well do it. I mean, especially the little tincture jars are, a quarter of the size of this jar. So like for me, for shelf space, they're not gonna take anything up, and if I can sell, like they sell them at HEB. They sell propolis extract at HEB.
And there's no expiration date, right?
No, it should last.
That's because it's like alcohol and.
It's just, yeah, it's 99% alcohol. Should last forever. So you can do propolis, you can do pollen. And then the main thing, we always get from our hives is honey. So this is one of my first harvest of comb honey ever. I've tried for a couple of years, a couple different ways. I finally just went to the old school method of using a shallow super. So there's shallow supers with wood frames, and it's called thin surplus foundation. It's really thin foundation. You put it in there, and then the bees just build onto it like normal foundation. And then when you harvest it, you just cut it with a knife and throw it in a clamshell. And then I charge $1.50 an ounce. So I think my regular honey is like 75 cents an ounce. So I'm getting like double the price for this. So I've only been selling it for like a month or so. I've only sold like 4 or 5. So we'll see how it goes. If it goes really well, this will be a really good money maker. I wanted to bring some whipped honey. We did when was that? Like,
It was easily 6 months ago.
yeah, like 6 months ago or so. I'm sure you can find on the YouTube channel. We had Lynn Jones come in and give a talk on how to make whipped honey. I sell a lot of whipped honey, but I probably sell at those 2 little bitty tiny stores. I sell probably 80, 90 pounds a year. And I charge like 1 1/4 what I charge for regular honey. So it's more profitable. And it's pretty easy to make. The only thing I do with the first couple times I made it, I did it in a 5-gallon bucket, food grade 5-gallon bucket. You pour your honey in there, and the easiest way is to go buy somebody else's cream, creamed whipped honey, and then pour it in there and mix it together. And then you mix it in there, and then you put it in your jars or whatever you're gonna sell it in, or give it away in or whatever. And then the best way you can do it is to put it in a mini fridge that's controlled, that's temperature, a thermostat on it that you can keep around 55 degrees. So if you can do that,
Wine fridge.
yeah, like a wine fridge would be perfect. Yeah,
Good reason.
it's a good excuse to buy a wine fridge. If you can keep it it'll set in like a week. If you just keep it at room temperature, it's gonna take a while to set.
Right. If you let it set in the bucket, you have the hard time putting it in the jar.
Yeah. So yeah, I used to, because the first couple times I did, I only made like 20 pounds, and I was mixing it with a spatula, with spatulas. Arm got tired. Where'd I get that thing from? I think it was Better Bee I bought it from. They have a drill attachment.
Like a paint stirrer.
Yeah, it looks like a paint stirrer, but it actually works better the way it's made, and it's stainless steel, so it's food grade. So I got one of those now. I can do actually I can still only do like 30 pounds at a time because my drill starts smoking. I need a pot bigger drill.
So what's your ratio, cream honey and?
Oh, it's 1 to 10. Yeah, so for 10 pounds of honey, you're supposed to add 1 pound of cream honey. But once you make your first batch, you just keep 2 or 3 pounds extra, and then the next time you can make more without having to do it. The other thing to do, if you do it that way and you keep making it off the same, you're going generations, is to make sure that the crystal size still stays really small. So if you start getting chunkier crystals in there, the texture starts getting thicker, then you probably want to start over with some cream honey. You can make your own starter too. So you can take your own crystallized honey, you put it in a mortar and a pestle, and then you do that for a couple of hours.
It's pretty cool. I mean, you see it right before your eyes,
Yeah.
but it takes a while. It takes like 45 minutes
And then
To make it a little bit.
to make a little.
And the other thing you can do too is Dayton sells a powdered starter.
I've seen
Yeah, so I've used it before. The only thing with it is you have to be careful. You have to use a flour sifter to put it in. So you got to put a little bit in and mix it in, put a little bit more in and mix it in. Otherwise you get these like chunks of starter in there. You don't want that. I missed the other way you make candles. I didn't make this one. Kyle made this. Old secretary. These are hand dipped candles. So this thing's been sitting around in my garage, so it's probably straight at that time. But you can make these with it's just the wick, and then you dip it, pull it out, let it cool off for a second, and dip it again until you get it built up to this. You can also do rolled candles. So you make a sheet of beeswax and roll it up with look in the middle. Those are old school methods. There's probably a market in Houston for those kind of specialty items. If you were looking to do that, to sell it. The stuff's fun to make too, like especially around Christmas time, give it to your family and stuff. I got a sister-in-law in Austin that's real, everything has to be organic and natural. She's always asking me to do stuff for her, so. And it's fun, I like doing this, fun for me. I even made like, this is a face cream I made with hemp seed oil and beeswax. I have like 3 ladies that buy this stuff religiously.
Yeah.
And then like if you have a store or something, it's fun to try stuff out, see if it sells, and if it doesn't, you just pull it. Well, I made last year, I made some sugar scrub. It sold great at Christmas time, and then I never sold it anymore. I ended up throwing half of it away. It was like vanilla, and then it had some honey flavor or honey fragrance oil in it, and then had a bunch of actual honey in it, and a bunch of organic sugar. I gave it to my kid. I didn't throw it away. I gave it to my kids, and they used it. They said it was awesome. Oh, it just didn't sell that great. Oh, and then the other types of honey you can do, you know, we all have extracted honey that everybody knows, regular stuff. Another thing you can do is chunk honey. So you can take that and cut them into really smaller cubes and do a jar full of honey, extracted honey. You throw a cube in there of honeycomb in there. People like buying that stuff for some reason.
Yeah.
I guess you get a little bit of comb honey with it. They can chew on it later.
Well, that way they know this honey has been in the combs.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I guess so.
you
It
know,
might make people think.
or the chances is
Real.
higher that
I
it's.
think it's real honey if it's got a comb in it.
Yeah,
The best thing I can get for selling honey is when somebody else, cause I'm on all my town's Facebook pages. So like, I live in Mont Bellevue, so I'm on what's going on in Mont Bellevue. And it never fails, like 3 or 4 times a year, somebody asks, where can I get local honey?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, you know, I'm a beekeeper and I sell my honey here.
comes-
That's the best.
Yeah.
Word of mouth you can get. Every time that happens, I notice my sales go up for the next 2 months.
and then people remember you, contact you, hey, you still have.
Yeah, I get some random calls from people that buy my honey, because you have to put your phone number on it if you're gonna be legal, which I try to do. So, yeah, I get some random calls. I love your honey. I'm like, thanks. Trying to drive.
So can you tell me again how you get for the comb? So what foundation you use?
It's called Thin Surplus Foundation. All the bee supply places sell it. It's just, it's regular, like your regular wax foundation, but it doesn't have no wires in it, and it's really thin. That's the easiest way. I tried the Ross rounds, didn't work. I tried, what's the other one, hog half comb. I got about half of those to work. I might actually go back to those.
So I mean, it holds up in the heat,
What?
the Sigmax.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it, I would put that on, I wouldn't put that way ahead of time the flow starts. So I'd wait until the flow's on, you know, they're starting to fill honeycombs, then I throw that on there. And if you already have a full super on there, put it between the full super and the brood comb, they'll fill it pretty quick.
So you're putting it in a super.
Hmm?
You're putting it in a super.
Yeah, so you're putting the frames,
Short super,
yeah, it's a shallow super, so
not a
it's,
medium, but it's shallow.
you could do it in mediums, you would just have to. So, yeah, I bought they sell cutters. I had one, it was a 4x4 cutter. And when I cut one of them out with this, it didn't fit in my clamshell, so I ended up doing all the knife anyway. Which
You
wasn't
just use a
hard.
regular knife or a hot knife or?
I see a regular, like, what was that thing? It's a bread knife. That I use for
What would an
uncapping.
electric knife work? You ever tried
A what?
that? Electric knife?
That probably worked good.
No, they scare me.
Yeah,
Too many movies in the same piece.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
no, yeah, that's probably worked good. Yeah, I've seen people do that for uncapping frames using an electric knife. Looks like it works pretty good. What else? Talk about one thing Joe does pretty cool with whipped honey. Is it whipped honey you do that with? Where you put you're not allowed to mix anything with it if you're selling under the farm exemption. So you can put a little sachet of like cinnamon or something on the side. You do that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you could do that on the side stuff.
Some people like the hot honey, you can do a little spice thing.
Yeah. So that people can DIY their own flavors without
Yeah.
getting in trouble.
That way you don't get into the rules.
Yeah, if you mix anything with your honey, you're supposed to have a food
And you're
manufacturer's
then you're
license.
basically cooking.
Yeah. Or you're supposed to label it the cottage food law stuff,
Yeah.
one or the other.
Does this other stuff fall under the cottage, the soap?
Oh, yeah, so like lip balm, there's no rules on that pretty much. You just have to be honest. So you have to, there's a few rules, there's some FDA labeling requirements, you have to put like the weight on it. I think it has to be in ounces and grams, and you have to put the ingredients on it, that's it. And the ingredients have to be in order by weight.
Yeah.
But it's real, yeah, it's real simple, there's no license needed. Yeah, all this other stuff you can pretty much make without a license and sell it.
I
So,
think you can just about light one of your candles. Ooh, it's still hot.
any questions? No,
Royal jelly.
I don't know anybody that's ever done that here in the US.
How on earth would you even do it?
So I've seen how, what, you watch some YouTube videos,
Royal jelly.
royal jelly. So what they do is they graft queen cells, they let them grow until like a certain day when they have the most royal jelly. They flip them upside down, they go through with a pair of tweezers and pull out all the larvae, throw them off in the bucket or whatever, on the ground, whatever. And they take a little scoop and scoop out the royal jelly, put it in the jar.
Ooh, there's a YouTube out there from a company in France that does that.
Yeah.
There's not many that do it, but
That's a lot of work.
it's a lot of work.
I've watched it, if you get on YouTube, there's some videos of like people in Asia, and it's real big in Asia.
Yeah, the demand's going up, but in Asia, there's also a lot of.
Yeah, not royal jelly in it.
Like, I look.
Oh, yeah, that's so if you ever want to do any of these projects and you need beeswax, do not buy it from Amazon. None of that, almost 90% of that is not beeswax. I had people call me all the time, hey, I need some beeswax, I bought this crap on Amazon, I melted, I could tell it wasn't beeswax. You're better off, unless it's from there's a few reputable sellers on there, like based in the US, those are probably good. If you need it around here, Texas Bee Supply sells it. I bought it from them before.
Yeah,
And
I
I
think
ran out.
Dayton and Man Lake too also.
Yeah, if you get it from a bee supplier, it's gonna be, at least, they may come from a commercial hive that's been treated with stuff, but at least it's real beeswax. Was that? Yeah, soy wax I get off Amazon. I figured I could get that and it would be something. I got that from an American supplier too, it's made in the US, it says. That's what it says on the package anyway.
Have you ever done those flax, like cotton pieces that people use and stuff, cellophane?
No, he was just talking about that earlier, that they use for like saran wrap.
Yeah, food wraps, that's the right.
I'm gonna have to try that.
Yep, we've got some.
Yeah, I
We
bought a
make
couple of them
You
before.
made them?
We didn't make them, we bought them. We were gonna make some.
Well, I
Got a
tried,
recipe,
it's
right?
very sticky.
What fabric is it?
It's fine.
Yes, not linen.
No, like a bed sheet. We cut up bed sheet.
Yeah, then cotton.
Like a
and-
muslin?
Yeah, well, what they use for quilts, but I'd recommend you wash it a couple of times because when you get fabric from the store, there's a lot of chemicals in there in order to produce
Oh,
and
the
print
sizing,
and all that, so you just like treat it like for your baby, you wanna wash it 6 to 8 times before you do anything with it.
Yeah, food contact.
Yeah,
I think you have to put a resin in it.
yeah, fine.
Yeah, I forget the recipe.
So I know when they do like, when they dip hives in wax, you have to put microcrystalline wax with it. You can't use straight
That
hair.
was- I like that.
Bowl, you can put it over to wax.
You need a big wax.
Yeah, I haven't steel to build, I've been wanting to build one for like 10 years now, I haven't steel.
So build what?
What, a wax dipping tank for hive equipment?
No, have it behind you.
That, the only reason I haven't is because you have to spend like $600 on the wax to start,
That's good.
just to fill the tank up, you know, they don't take that much wax per box.
That would be like a community event, everybody comes and then
Yeah.
get them all done at the same time.
Or I thought about just building that and then putting like cement blocks in it to take up the empty space, so I didn't have to buy as much wax to start.
Cement blocks are porous, they would soak up your wax.
Yeah, but they still displace a lot of it.
That'd be good future.
Yeah.
residents.
What's that? Probably around, I don't know, I got, I think 7 new ag yards this year. Oh, I got in with this land developer and he called all his buddies, so they all called me, they all wanted the tax exemption. So I had people call me off the wall, so I just kept putting bees out on new yards until I ran out of bees. Actually, I need to go around and count them all and see.
That's what, 5 hives, 6 hives?
I got I got a couple yards with 12 on them because they're 20 acres.
Minimum's like 5 or is it per acre?
Depends on your county.
Yeah, well, actually, most of the counties in Texas are the same now. There are a few counties that are different, but like Harris County is, if you have 5 acres, you have to have 6 hives.
5, I think 6.
5, yes, I think it's 6 hives, 5 or 6 hives.
Say just 1 lot,
Huh?
just 1 lot.
Doesn't matter what size the hives are. So you could have little mini mating nukes.
Oh,
Those count as a hive.
Oh,
There's no size restriction on the hive.
that's good.
And in some counties, the bee board counts as a hive.
I've done them with nukes before. I've gotten people where the tax person has come out and assessed the property and gave them their exemption. And all I had out there were nukes.
And below 5, you can't get an exemption, right?
And then it's for, I think it's for every 2.5 acres after that, you have to have an additional hive.
Well, if you buy a 5-acre place, the homestead's always an acre.
Yeah.
So
If you have a
is
homestead.
that then considered 4? Do you have to get by 6 acres to get the exemption?
So there's a lot of, there's actually been some legal cases on that already. Because there's people that have 5 acres, they meet the 5-acre requirement, but then they have a house on it, so they get homestead their acre.
Yeah, that's.
And the county says, well, you can't have the other 4 acres because it's not 5 acres.
But
Some places, some counties are saying you have to have 6 acres if you have a house. Then if you don't have a house, most of the property I have bees on doesn't have a house on it though.
I know, but you can make a mistake buying a property, is that thing.
Yeah.
The 1 acre
Yeah.
homesteads add the wrong tax.
You wanna live
So
there,
it's
you
not
want to
actually
see.
homestead, so.
Yeah, I mean, so like one of the things I do with my ag yards is when people call me, because they want bees and they're like, you take care of the tax stuff. Absolutely not.
And doesn't it take like a couple of years? You have to have
5
bees
years.
for a couple of years?
You have to have, you have to show 5 years out of the last 7 years as your property being ag.
Once you lose your exemption, you gotta go 3 years before you get it back.
You have to have 5 years out of the last 7 with continuous ag use. You have to be able to prove that.
So you don't get it the first year. but not-
No. So if you just start from scratch, it takes 5 years.
3 years. Yeah,
But I mean,
But if you buy one that somebody else already had under ag exemption,
yeah, you're
you
good.
can roll it right into your ag exemption.
Once you
Yeah.
lose it, it takes 3 years to reestablish.
You just don't want to lose it. Yeah.
yeah, I guess it would take, because you lose it after 2 years. If you don't have ag use, you can only let it be fallow for 2 years. And then you lose your exemption. So
Yeah, you got
have to-
What kind of exemption you get?
So they base your taxable value on the value of the bees.
150 acres, 40 bucks. Yeah.
Well, you can only exempt up to 20 acres, but,
With bees.
yeah, in Harris County, they consider each hive to be worth $600. So with 6 hives, your tax would be $3,600. Taxable value. Your actual tax would be like 50
Less
bucks.
630, less that amount.
Yeah, so if you have land in Harris County over 5 acres, if you don't have an exemption on it, you lose now. And it's great for beekeepers, because I mean, I wouldn't have near as many bees if I didn't have that, people paying me to put bees on the property. I got one guy that paid, he's saving like, I think his tax bill is gonna be like $70,000 a year.
Wasn't that one of the things that made beekeeping in Texas so strong?
Yeah,
That at one point they decided that beekeeping is accepted as
Yeah.
tax exemption, and that's what boosted Texas beekeepers.
So it's percentage.
yeah, I know a bunch of people that do it, became beekeepers just for the exemption.
So, yay, lost work
Yeah.
sometimes,
Uh,
sometimes.
I just saw somebody post yesterday on Facebook that,
But it doesn't say.
I think it's one of the counties around Austin.
With bees, where they're like trying to change something.
Yeah, they're trying to say the taxable value is gonna be $800 an acre or 8,000 an acre or something. They're like, it's like a 10 times increase.
I read that,
Yeah.
yeah. He was like, guys, come on
I'm
out.
like, I don't know how you can make $800 an acre off of bees a year.
Yeah.
No.
Are you gonna do door prizes?
Let's do door prizes. All right.
What? Sure. Make a person.
Okay. So door prizes, we have two brand new candles. Probably kind of warm, maybe want to get a paper towel to carry it with. We have a big yellow Yeti cup that probably says the name of his company on it. We have a nice yellow cup with a keychain that's like a coffee mug kind of thing. We have a pair of bee gloves, size unknown, maybe it says extra large. We have two drone frames. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different things. Yeah, all right. Who'd you pick? Number 17. Todd McLaughlin.
Go ahead, pick out.
Pick out what you want. Okay.
22.
22. Rebecca. Okay.
10.
10. Sue Clark.
I don't even get your candles.
Just
I'll be yelling at you next thing when I'm on my car.
You have to cut the wick.
That's the only way to be real quick.
No, they're different scents.
Small.
I'm just gonna let that- Yeah, there you go. Complete with a lid. Bonus.
Now Christie needs one.
Rebecca, let us smell the.
Just did peanut.
23.
23.
Which
It's like John Swanson.
Is this the leather of a?
John Swanson, is that, reading that
I'll
right?
bring it over here. Steve.
Yep.
Leather.
Wait a minute. So John, they're over there,
Yeah.
5.
on that table. 5.
Do you have a bourbon?
James Watson.
I don't
You
know,
won.
I guess. It smells kind of
James
buttery.
did.
11.
11. Anil Mid
Now,
Let's go with me.
back to the kid. All right. Okay.
Talk about the break.
Yeah. Okay, so, closing here. So again, in terms of, upcoming meetings, November 15th and 16th in Austin is the TBA business meeting plus classes. So basically, you can all pretty much ignore the business meeting unless you're just really into it and take the classes. I imagine they'll have a master beekeeper test that weekend. They usually do.
I think that's what.
I think they do the master beekeeping test that same weekend. Oh, we have one more. Wait, all right, hold on. Yeah. We probably counted it wrong. What's the next number?
15.
15. Gavin and Anna.
Yeah, y'all.
Last name, yes.
Yeah.
This cup.
So,
Anna Jane. Okay.
Hank Hilliard is here and he decides what the shine.
Right. Okay.
Just say.
Let me finish this up. Okay, so you have that, and then August 30th, there's a Zoom. We'll put it in the SCEP and we'll put it on the YouTube. No way. The website, how to get to that Zoom link to watch the Master Beekeeper kind of class that they're doing on August 30th, which could be very interesting. Then we have an opportunity to get a grant of, I believe, $2,500, $2,000 up to from the Texas Beekeeper Association to help with our youth mentoring program. But we need somebody who's good at writing grants. So it'd be
Yeah,
real,
$2,000.
It's an easy grant. It's not like a.
yeah, you're not gonna have to write like a dissertation.
I donate for $20, so I don't have to help write.
Okay, so if anybody wants to write, a 5-paragraph little grant application, I think it's pretty easy. Could help us out because I don't think that's not in my wheelhouse. So But anyway, that'd be nice to do. And then, before we all leave, Hank, we'd like to get a view to figure out how to get your beehive to Anil, how do you say your last name? How do you say your name? Anil. So that's who's getting your hives, is Anil over here.
Nice.
So, yeah, so as you guys know, we're a 501c3, and so part of our program is to help you. So, and if you have any questions, now's a great time to ask them, and then we'll conclude. So. Anything?
I have a
Yes, sir.
question. I got 4 hives on my bed,
Yeah,
and one of them, I've got a lot of bees crawling around the ground, like they can't fly anymore.
yeah, probably deformed wing virus,
I mean, it could be a couple different things. It could be,
DWF.
yeah, it could be DWV, the form wing virus.
That
It could be
happened.
paralytic virus.
Yeah,
That could also be the insecticide.
yeah, it could be also from it could be from the city spraying mosquito spray around your neighborhood. But if you collect up a few of those bees, collect up, if you can collect a few of them and then basically kill them with alcohol or soapy water, get a good magnifying glass and look to see if their wings look normal. But if one wing looks like it's like all shrunk up, like it looks like it doesn't have a wing, that's the deformed wing virus. It's a virus. And it's basically probably indicative of you might have a varroa mite problem. So the first thing I would do, I would look at them just to see what the bees look like. But I'd also do a varroa mite check. Because generally any kind of disease that your bees have, about 90% of the time, it's spread by the dumb old varroa mites, which are a real pain.
This time of year, you help them out too by feeding.
Yeah.
They, Italian lies.
Well, they don't say to treat prophylactically. They recommend that you only treat after you've checked to see what you've got, right? So like Chris and I have like 20 hives. So we'll start checking and they're all basically in a couple of different places. So we'll start checking in one place. And after we get to the third hive, if we've already found enough varroa mites to treat, then it's like, well, you don't want to just treat this one hive here and ignore that one. So you basically just treat them all. So you don't really necessarily have to check them off. If you've only got 2 hives in your backyard and you check them and there's no problem, then don't treat. But if you've got 2 hives, you check one, and it's got varroa mites, treat them both. Right? That's kind of the rule of thumb. Is you. Do what now?
300 bees, like, so on a healthy hive, even this time of year, you're gonna have 400 or 500 bees die
Every day.
just from old age and being worn out.
The thing
Killing
is,
300 bees, that's not what I'm impact.
especially compared to if you don't treat the varroa mites, within 2 years, your hive will be dead. In Texas. Yeah, well, that's an option. That's certainly an option. Just go ahead and treat, don't bother to check. But it's a good exercise to learn how to do the check.
They do make a CO2 checker now. So you can, I haven't actually.
Basically knock the bees out.
Yeah, you knock the bees out with CO2 and you shake the mites off of them and you count them. It's gonna be as accurate as an alcohol wash, but wake them back for a while.
So,
Yeah, I haven't used one, so I can't comment on how good they are or not, but it's another way to check without having to do it.
all right. So anyway, we're all around. If you got other questions, otherwise meeting concluded. Oh, record. I'll turn off the Zoom now. Thank you.
You need to look at some of your